Update. I, 37 male, told cheating ex-wife, 37 female, no when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, 15 female. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. Original post. My ex-wife cheated on me 6 years ago. That's when I discovered her in a 4-month affair with a married man. We share a 15-year-old daughter together and co-parent exclusively through my sisters or email. I found out because affair partner's wife sent me all of the pictures and videos that they took cheating on us with on his phone. Some of the deal breakers for me was she did acts with affair partner that she flat out refused to do with me, citing that those were disgusting and against her integrity as a woman. She literally told me her body, her rules. Before presenting her with the evidence I had given her a chance to come clean. However, she gaslighted me, even swore in our daughter's life. I told her if you had any integrity or respect for me at all, you would tell me the truth right now. She held firm that I was crazy and making wild accusations with no facts. So I then present the facts. When confronted her with the evidence, she broke down and looked me in my face and said she is a piece of trash. I knew her betrayal was beyond disrespectful and ultimately something I would never forgive. I told her going forward under no circumstances, except health, safety, and the life or death of our daughter, should she contact me. We divorced soon after. Fast forward 6 years later. Last month, my daughter asked would I attend a dinner that she was cooking to prepare for her baking and cooking competition. I of course agreed, but the kicker was her mother and my ex-wife would be there too. She knows why we divorced and accepts my no contact with her mother. Mind you, I haven't seen or spoken to my ex-wife in close to 6 years. At the dinner, some of my former in-laws and ex-wife were there, as well as my sisters and myself. My daughter's food was delicious and everything went smooth. 1 week after the dinner, I received a phone call from my ex-wife that I obviously answered because I thought something was wrong with our daughter. Nothing was wrong with our daughter, but ex-wife wanted to sincerely apologize for actions in the past and the damage she did to break up our family. She said that our daughter almost had a breakdown with the fear of her asking me to be in the same place as ex-wife and that our current dynamic is not healthy. She wanted to know was there any way to healthy coexist for future events with our daughter. I did not interrupt her and let her finish what she had to say. When she finished talking, I just responded by saying no and discontinued the call. Here is where I need advice. My sister told me my ex-wife is truly ashamed and sorry for breaking up the family and just wants a healthy environment for our daughter. Sister tells me to move on and to think about our daughter's mental health. I ask my sister what value am I to my daughter's life if I am unhappy. An ex-wife does not make me happy. So Reddit, I need an unbiased opinions. Should I forgive my ex-wife and move on to build a better co-parenting relationship with my wife for my daughter's sake? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Who cares what your ex-wife thinks? Call your daughter up and have a conversation. Ask her how she's doing and what she'd like. Listen and ask questions. Take time to think about what you'd be able to participate in comfortably. Call your daughter up again and communicate that. Agree, you can tell your daughter understand her fear and also share what you need for your mental health. Explain your boundaries and your needs to the extent appropriate and provide some reassurance that you won't ever get angry at her or take it out on her. Me and my daughter have a fantastic relationship. We have date nights twice a month where we go to fancy restaurants and she has to order something she has not tried before. We text memes to each other daily and we overall just vibe very well. I also set and teach my daughter about boundaries, integrity, values, and self-worth. So she struggles with the internal conflict of her wanting to meet my expectations, as well as the reality of the situation with her mother. It is night and day. What can her mom teach her about integrity? What can her mom teach her about loyalty? What can her mom teach her about being honest? What can her mom teach her about morality? Nothing. Me and my current girlfriend have been together for 3 years, and she and my daughter get along great. However, my ex-wife has struggled to find love, more than random hookups according to our own daughter. So it is truly causing morals and values clash when she compares me to her mom. Quite frankly, her mom is not a good person. Let's tear that band-aid off. If your relationship is so great, why was your daughter afraid to ask you something very important to her? Why was she so afraid of your potential or real reaction? Do you flat out reject your co-parent statement that your current co-parenting dynamic is unhealthy to your daughter? Are you willing to make any changes to it? If mom is a manipulative liar, it is entirely possible that she is trying to reconnect with OP under the guise of better co-parenting and using daughter's feelings as an in. We are talking about a woman who, until video evidence was shown, was willing to swear on her daughter's life that she had done nothing wrong. OP has been in a relationship for 3 years, while mom is still single and struggling to meet someone, so I think this is entirely possible. OP really should sit down with his daughter to get a better understanding of how she feels about the current dynamic, and if she's truly bothered, consider changing the dynamic. Until he talks to his daughter, I think it's just as likely that mom is trying to use daughter to manipulate OP. Now for the first update. I spoke to my 15 female daughter yesterday, and what she had to say was an eye-opener. She told me that she knows that I love her and would do anything for her, so she doesn't want to abuse my love for her from me by making me do things I normally would not otherwise do. She says her mom is struggling with sadness sometimes and tells her all the time that her father is not ever going to move past hating me, which makes it hard for everyone else to stop judging her for her past as well. Apparently, my ex-wife is venting her grievances on our daughter because she has so few friends. For context, ex-wife lost majority all of our childhood friends, as we all grew up together. None of the husbands want their wives hanging out with her, due to the fact she used girls' night as an excuse to be with a fair partner, and some of the wives knowingly and some unknowingly covered for her. This caused a lot of drama. It is a common belief that some of the other wives were cheating as well, but no other proof can be found. Since my divorce with the ex, the other wives have essentially removed her from the group to save their marriages. Daughter also explained to me that she missed our family being together if she was being honest, but understands that me and her mother love her. She then asked me about forgiveness and then about unforgiveness, things people cannot be forgiven for. I told her that is ultimately a standard you have to set for yourself. It comes from the morality and values you have within yourself. I explained that sometimes you can dislike the actions, but not dislike the person. And sometimes you cannot unassociate the actions from the person. Examples: Hitler, Osama bin Laden, or Jeffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones. She hates him with a passion. I said her mother is someone whose actions I cannot unassociate with her. I said it doesn't mean she's a bad mom, it just means she's someone who I cannot dissociate with her actions. As a result, me and her relationship can never be the same. I then told her just because someone says sorry, it doesn't mean that everything is okay. Unfortunately, some actions have consequences, and in her mother's case, her actions are a part of who she is as a person. Daughter then asked me if I have ever forgiven someone who has hurt me before, and I said yes. I have forgiven a lot of people. Forgiveness is a very important quality to have as a person. Ultimately, we had a very good conversation last night and said me and her mom will always be there for her when she has big life events. I will be talking to my ex-wife soon about her comments to our daughter. Your daughter seems like a very mature and thoughtful person, and it sounds like you have great communication with her. Best of luck with everything moving forward. His daughter probably told him what he wanted to hear. As someone from parents with the almost exact story, it's extremely stressful to have two parents who cannot have a conversation. I'm in my 20s now, but growing up was very painful and damaging. I wish my parents would have grown up and put their love for me first, but their hate came first. I'm in almost the exact same situation as your daughter, and your relationship with your daughter sounds like mine with my dad. We've had the same conversation too about forgiveness and everything. You remind me of my own dad who's a great man, and it sounds like your daughter is understanding and thoughtful. Continue to build a strong relationship and communication with your daughter. And if you do decide to be in contact with your ex-wife again for the sake of your daughter, you should be super clear on boundaries. I think if it wasn't for me and my sister, my own dad would have gone no contact too. But for the sake of us and their shared assets, he and mom stay in contact. It's been difficult as my mom oversteps boundaries now and then, but I think it's possible and beneficial, especially for your daughter who's a bit young, to see her parents still manage an okay and respectful relationship despite not being together. However, this also depends on your ex-wife doing her part and respecting boundaries. I wish you the best and hope you can find something that works. Your daughter is lucky to have a dad like you. Thank you for this. We live in a very much who-you-know kind of city, so I think my wife has tried to change the narrative about herself, but it just hasn't worked. As a result, she's crossing the line by bringing our daughter into her mess. I will not be a part of her comeback story, and I will make sure my daughter will not be a part of it as well. She has to do this on her own and be a mother first. She has to separate her issues completely and let our daughter be a 15-year-old kid. Yeah, we kind of had the same problem. My mom was afraid of what people thought of her, even though that was the consequence of her own actions. She's not a terrible person, but it's difficult to forgive cheating, and much more difficult to try and rebuild after something like that. If anything, I hope your ex-wife can learn to forgive herself and move on, instead of being overridden with guilt and passing it on to your daughter. Just keep doing what you're doing. My mom's better now, but at that time I was really grateful I at least had one parent. This is so wonderful and refreshing to see a healthy relationship between father and daughter. I will talk to your ex about venting to her daughter. She's not just venting, she's using her as an emotional crutch and a friend replacement, which is extremely unhealthy for your daughter. She's still young and not equipped with the knowledge and skills to handle all this. I would set stricter boundaries that her mom can't do that. I would also suggest therapy for your daughter, as divorce is difficult for children and she has a lot of conflicting feelings and doesn't know how to filter them properly. Having her talk to a professional will be really helpful, and you can join in on some sessions too. Yes, she cannot be using your daughter as her individual therapist. This is only going to create more problems with your daughter's mental health. I will address this ASAP. Now for the final update. So it has been a few months since I made this post, and I receive at least 5 to 10 messages a week for an update. So here it is. I will try and do this in one post and make it fit. So after my last post, I decided to schedule an appointment with 2 separate therapists who specializes in marriage and family counseling after divorce. I saw these 2 therapists over the course of 5 months. I did 5 sessions with each therapist, 1 female and 1 male. In the sessions, I went over all my issues I dealt with my ex-wife and the current dynamics we have in place now. I showed both therapists my Reddit post and wanted truly 2 non-biased opinions from 2 professionals of the opposite sex. The advice they both gave me provided a contrast I needed to make necessary changes, if any, in my life. The first thing I did was invite my ex-wife to join me in 3 planned therapy consultations in which I would pay for. The goals were simple. First, create avenue for my ex-wife to start speaking with a professional instead of our daughter about our issues. Second, give her closure. Not forgiveness, but an opportunity to give her any answers she may need to recover and be a better mother and person to our shared child. Last, build and commit to a plan that we will follow in how we will deal with parenting our daughter and behave at shared life events. She accepted my offer. First session. The first session was all about sharing our point of view on the current state of our lives and what we both want for our daughter. I shared that I am currently enjoying my life, as my professional and personal life are flourishing, in the sense that I have achieved balance and joy, and core life goals and accomplishments are being met. For my daughter, I share that my goal is to ensure that she is happy, enjoys her childhood, loved, and understands the value of self-respect and commitment to core values. I always share with her that everyone loves to believe that there are exceptions to the rules, but sometimes following the rules are what makes a person exceptional. Having a clear sense of what is right and wrong and behaving in that fashion is very important to who you are. I shared that my biggest regret in life would be if my daughter turned out like how her mother used to be 7 to 8 years ago. It was brutal saying this in a session, but I truly believe and fear this. Ex-wife then shares the current state of her life. She is very passionate about her career, interior and exterior designer. She quite literally turns houses into homes. She shares that she is currently working on herself because her past few relationships ended poorly, because her baggage from our marriage and divorce has made her very afraid of commitment. She also wants our daughter to be happy, loved, and a hard worker. She responded to my comment about me being afraid of my daughter turning out like how she was 7 years ago. She said her pride was hurt by that comment, but years of therapy helped her realize she must accept that her actions of the past have warranted that kind of comment from me. She said she knows our daughter does not want to be like her, because our daughter has asked her many times, besides cheating on dad, what is the real reason why he will never forgive you? She said people cheat and get divorced all the time, but they are still friends. However, dad truly thinks you are a bad person, but a good mom. For years, she thought I was poisoning our daughter against her, but quickly realized that was just her own guilt eating her away. The session ended quickly after that. Second session. This session, my ex-wife asked a lot of questions, and I mean a lot. Nevertheless, I answered all of them honestly and bluntly. The 3 main questions she asked were the following. 1. How did I heal from the wounds that she caused? And what advice could I give her as she's still trying to heal from the wounds she caused herself? I explained that the damage she caused wasn't like a stab or a cut wound that you could stitch back together. I said her damage was more like she amputated a limb from my body. My recovery wasn't focused on healing, but rather on how to walk, lift, or learn how to eat with my feet because I no longer have hands. I recovered from what she did by reteaching myself how to not be defined by my disability, become a victim, but more importantly, gaining strength from it. I ended by saying I'm still recovering. There is no healing this wound. The leg is gone. I said my advice to her would be do not amputate your next partner. Stop focusing on healing and start prioritizing recovering from the damage you caused. Some things cannot be fixed, but they can sometimes be replaced or provide life lesson in how to behave in the future. 2. How can she replace what she has broken? I replied by giving an analogy. When a woman has a miscarriage, she doesn't replace the child she has lost when she has another baby. She values the life of the child she has because she knows what it is like to lose a child or not have a child at all. She doesn't replace what she has lost. She has to use her previous loss as a vehicle to find love in what she has now. I reiterated that she cannot replace or fix this. Her actions are permanent and cannot be undone. She must recover and use her experience to be better next time. 3. Is there anything she could do to allow us to be friends again? I replied by saying no. However, her being a great mother to our daughter and showing her how to recover from making the mistakes she made in her past would go a long way in making sure our shared interest is met. I explained there is no scenario in which I can give you forgiveness because it is not a gift I can give. This gift must come from yourself. I cannot be responsible for your happiness or forgiveness. 4. Would you allow me to keep trying? I respond, sure. Last session. In the last session, we made 2 major agreements. 1. We came to an agreement that I would allow her to contact me outside of emergency if she agreed to not speak about our relationship with our daughter. Please let her be a kid. She can call me directly if she wants to coordinate vacations, holidays, or gifts. 2. I will agree to do 1 counseling session a year with her until our daughter is married or graduates from college. The goal in the session is to build a stronger co-parent relationship and ensure we are not letting our past ruin shared experiences with our daughter. Overall, it has been 3 months since our last session, and I believe that I did what was in the most important immediate need for our child, which was ensure she does not feel she is responsible for me and her mother's happiness when it comes to her life. She is back to being a now 16-year-old teenager, worrying about boys, clothes, and social status, which I am perfectly happy to deal with. As for my ex-wife, that is a whole another thread.